same way that Fisher is sort of strategically, accurately predicting, like, yeah, this is the way we can sort of fight this better using the map to our advantage.
Well, I don't know exactly how Maryville are going to play it, but I can tell you that there have been no substitutions.
Yeah.
That means Dante's still in the tank role.
It's a little surprising to me, but on the other hand...
It is me too.
It's not like Dante only plays Doomfist. Like, let's be real.
Right, it's not like Dante doesn't have 6 years of Overwatch League experience.
Like, I mean... he started as a DPS, now he's on the tank. So, that's not... It's not like we're saying, oh, they're just going to play Doomfist again. That's not necessarily the case. Of course, it is something that's been known for it in the later, as of late.
Yeah, in the past year or so, particularly.
Yeah. I mean, it's not definitely not surprising to us, but it's one of those things where it's like, maybe I don't know if I would do that on this map personally, like this again in theory. But we also know that when you talk about Maryville, the in theory doesn't really always apply anymore because you got to talk about in practice, and that is just what we're going to look at. They're going to start on defense here with the Tracer from King, Tree on the Sojourn once again, Dante on the Doomfist, Squid and Vision on their Brig Ana combo. Didn't work out that well on Dark Peninsula, at least the Brigitte in particular. But Vision on the Ana, I mean, you can nano anybody, and it definitely gives Dante sort of like a second life or a third life, depending on when you give it to him. It's
a nano tree is just nightmare fuel.
That too. But Tree doesn't even need it. That's the thing, right? Like, unless you want to save his life, Tree just doesn't need the nano. So you give it to Dante. And tanks have been favored in nano anyway, so like that's sort of where my mind went. But honestly, just nano Brigitte when she's rallying, and that's a scary thing as well. So,
Yeah. But I mean, having just the damage mitigation and the extra 300 healing onto your Doomfist is a huge boon mid-fight. So a lot of good options, and I love Vision on this composition. On the Ana pick, rather, in this composition. Fisher out here with a strange one. I haven't seen a Winston in a hot minute. They have the same backline. Neb is sole responsible here for keeping Raker alive as they move up to the high ground, trying to find Tree. Using that bubble, they're able to kind of claim Cafe for themselves and force Tree to the outside. Dante knows this and has to back up and make sure that they can keep Raker from getting too far into their own defenses, into their own line.
Tree actually power slowed a little bit wrongly in the Cafe, almost got caught for it, but a lot of pushback. Lukewarm Grapes almost going down. Rocket actually waiting for a couple of links to come back before they go back in. That's the thing, Fisher sort of resetting like every now and then, but so is Maryville, so they're both like cooldown using, cooldown cycling, and then all of a sudden there's an explosion again, like there is now.
Ooh, and Lukewarm finds Tree. Good opener while Dante is having a nap in the control room. King gets the revenge, but Rocket's pulse bombs land. Meteor strike into the back. Grapes falls. It was a big anti-nade. I believe I saw that from Neb that tried to slow it down, but just wasn't enough.
But it's just
Dante will not be stopped.
There's not much left. If King hadn't used that pulse bomb and got like this stick onto Riker there, that could have been an interesting situation. But of course, both teams losing members. They got quick respawns. This might be an opportunity for Fisher to just quickly re-engage. Not quite doing it just yet though. And Tree back on the Ash now, threw Dynamite out just for that purpose. Didn't hit anybody. They weren't even there yet.
little preemptive.
Yeah, it's I mean they do reset. Good anti-nade onto Tree. Might be able to follow up. Nah, they're not there in time. It's just the Winston.
Oh, but the Bio and Raker moved in simultaneously, but Rocket wasn't able to close the gap. Tree is still low in here, and Raker has a Primal Rage, so they are free to stick around, but they don't use it in time! They tried to be too conservative with it and back out. Dante ends up picking up 3.
They did notice, though, that the Nano came out. They already were like, no more ults. We're going to get out, dodge this, and reset. And now it's just going to be the rally and the Meteor Strike from Dante. So they will have a reset for Dante, as well as just sort of the circle of life going on from Squid. But a lot more going on than the side of Fisher. Particularly that Nano that can come in mid-fight could be huge. If it's on the Bob, maybe even on the Tracer, or most probably on the Winston.
Take a little poke damage, just got to back out of there, but Raker equally low, so Fisher have to hold their own horses before moving in. Raker said, that's enough, heal it, I gotta go. Jumps into the back, start things off here. Meteor Strike used from Dante as they're looking to respond, and Tree finds Neb on the back of that damage done by Dante. Woo! Rocket lands a pulse, so Fisher are not done with this fight yet. Rally and play from there as well. Raker finally popping this Primal Rage, and Fisher investing everything they can into this fight. And if it's going to happen for him, it's going to happen now. Maryville have kind of split up, and King gets caught out in that division. Both supports are down low there for Maryville, far away from the rest of the team, and Dante falls because of it.
Just a slowly Vision will not be able to get out. It was going to get the nade. Oh, Neb, you gotta be careful about that one, but there was plenty of
Almost.
support. That would have been a really good kill. That's just a mental boom kill you get right there, you know? Riker, though, will just scout forward, make sure this high ground is a little clear for the rest of the team to come up here. But this is the one I was really looking at, like this high ground. Like, how easy is it to play Doomfist from here if you're not already there? Because there's so much lead up, this such like a large space that there's always a very long range in which he can just shoot at you before you can make your move. Dante, of course, is already up here, so he doesn't have that issue right now. But particularly when they have their own attack, that might become a problem.
Well, and if Fisher can take that high ground control, they can take second point in the back of it. Nano used to keep Grapes alive, Rally as well, and it's good enough to find the tank. Dante falls on the back, even with a Discord Orb onto Grapes from Squid's newly swapped Zenyatta. They're not able to kill. Now it's a Bionade thrown onto the brig. Maryville wants Grapes dead, but Fisher will not let them have it.
No, they will get Rocket for their trouble. Rocket
there it
will
is.
be back quick in the fight. They do eventually find Grapes, but Tree is being traded. This is going back and forth between these teams. This cart is sort of like half moving the entire time. It's got some distance on it. They'll have to find a way to properly re-engage into this.
I like the swap onto the Zenyatta. The Discord Orb is giving Riker some problems there. Now, Fisher are getting more and more in control of this high ground. Dante has to use that Meteor Strike just to get out. King drops down, and they had 15 health. Recall is forced as well. Pulse Bomb in the pocket, and they've got Rocket spotted on this point. Rocket is sticking around in that duel. Bionade lands. Rocket lands the punch. King is gone. Now Vision dropping down, backing up to try to heal Dante, but Fisher control all the high ground.
Now they got it. They finally are in position to do whatever they want up here. Ooh, Neb going low, but there's Transcendence on the other side. Anti-Day needs to come through to get anything through that. Rocket has been holding onto this Pulse Bomb for ages as well. They're trying to find this backline, but they don't need to because Riker did.
Oh, Vision did get the Nano Boost out before going down, but it looks like Riker is just going to clean up the rest of this map. As Riker's got 4 all final blows credited to the Winston right now. They're looking to chase down the 5th. There it is.
They might be able to quickly re-engage, though. Both supports went down, and Grapes and Neb are not going to be back that quickly. They can touch the point here. They might be able to stop them for longer, with Tree on the Genji especially.
Oh, you're talking about the best thing that we could see Tree on. And they have made that swap King onto what I think is their best hero as well. As Maryville gone full dive to try to re-engage her. Dante is too low, though. And the heals just not cut through. Double Bionade into the back line will be the exclamation point here from Fisher Whips as they march into the studio.
That really got close, though. Like, if Grapes hadn't swapped over to the Lucio, they might have been in more trouble than it looked like. Because Fisher, like I said, both supports had gone down at the end of that previous fight, and it was a really good attempt for Maryville to come back into it. There was definitely a chance. Now they got to go for third, though. 1.5 minutes to get there. They'll probably, if they finish, do it in overtime. But finishing the map is already a really big deal after how long they got held on first.
This is excellent progress. 75 seconds on the clock, though, and obviously Fisher would love to take this all the way home. Dante looking to engage here. Has to get on jail free card if needed. Not a whole lot of coordination with it. Didn't see King try to follow up in there. It's kind of a soft engage from Maryville, just trying to buy a little bit of time, perhaps get some ult charge. Dante's back in deep again. This time hits with all kinds of cooldowns. Shielding blocks the healing. Yeah.
They finally find Lukewarm. That's the first pick of this sort of skirmish. Like, they're sort of poking back and forth, and again, the card just kind of soft rolls through. But this is probably where this card's gonna be close to stop. A little around the door opening, and there is the Elaine just coming through from Maryville. They'll just clean up this fight. As soon as that Ashe went down, they just went for it, and they got everything they wanted because they didn't have to worry about the dynamite, didn't have to worry about that tick damage or that instant burst that really only the Ashe was providing.
Yeah, I mean, it's when you just have basically Tracer Winston damage to worry about.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be
run.
lethal and burst, but it's not, it's really not a whole lot. Tree now with a nano, and things are getting serious. Vision falls! Tree answers, though. Able to get one. Now in a fight with another nano, Lukewarm, and will win that fight. Back on the point. Fisher have managed to at least initiate overtime. It looks like 2 players left. Hey, add a third to the mix. Big Omega Butler here to find Tree. And it's going to be a Primal Rage. Pop of this card continues to roll further. Fisher Whips has actually managed to get it into a decent spot here when it's all said and done. Dante is going to get forced back off this point. Rocket does lose that duel with the Tracer. Rally up for Fisher Whips. And they'll find that kill onto Dante. And they're looking to escort this thing all the way home. It's just King here trying to stall things out. King down to about half health. Vision's going to fall to Lukewarm. Fisher Wisp might just be able to do it. They will. They complete Hollywood. Unbelievable push there in the end.
That was a masterful primal race from Riker. I think he actually sort of double booped Dante within his own like power slam. It was crazy. He did a seismic slam in the mid air. He got like booped twice. And I was like, wait, this is not what I wanted. I normally don't want to do the CC here, but now it's Winston time. And all of that was just instrumental to especially then keeping Rocket alive as well, because Rocket was obviously going to be a pretty easy target to go after otherwise on the Tracer. It was really, yeah, just really good space control, and love to see it. Fisher able to, well, kind of twice sort of push it in overtime for point 2 and point 3. Point A got really close to it as well, but you know, if you get to the end, it doesn't really matter how. The only thing that Maryville can now do is at least complete the map, but they kind of want to do it with a little bit of a time bank, so they actually are comfortable winning out this map rather than potentially going for a draw scenario. And yeah, Wisp in the driver's seat. And I really thought Wisp was going to be stronger on the defense, just depending on what Maryville was going to come out. But I do definitely think that's more of the case now, because you saw as soon as they got control over those high grounds, were able to sort of keep that, there was no stopping them anymore. And I think Maryville's really got to figure out a way around that, especially when we get to point B. Point A will be sort of okay. Point A has been one of those points where in certain metas it's been like very hard to break, but this is not a meta in which that's necessarily the case.
2, 1.
It could be difficult for Dante to get entrance. Like, Dante's going to have to, I think, get to the high ground just past this archway that's currently on the left side of your screen. I think Dante needs to get up there to try to stage. Yep, exactly where they're going. See if they can hold this. Punch lands onto Rocket will force out the recall, and it looks like Lukewarm dropped back down. So Fisher Whip's not fighting too hard to keep Dante off that top area. Sees Riker in a bit of an odd spot here in the corner, decides to pounce on it. Bubble is used, which means Dante is not getting healed and eventually just retreats.
Good dynamite in though. Lukewarm getting a little bit of damage out, charging up that big Umlik Butler of their own. Did a lot of work as well in that last fight. It's really well done.
Dynamite also forced the nade from Vision to be used defensively, so they're not able to toss that in and get purples on the back of Dante's engaged. Speaking of, Dante going in for another one here, but Riker has control of the high ground right now. Looks like a bit of a ring around the rosy as a couple of Maryville's players have made their way into the cafe.
Tanks down.
Both tanks are going to fall. Nothing but squishies left. Tree is able to take down Lukewarm, and it's a 4v3 favoring Maryville on this point. They've almost got one tick, but now they've lost their own. A big nade landed by Neb. Might have just sent Maryville packing.
Yeah, they are going to hang on a little bit because they do still have a lot of numbers and quicker respawns, but there is a lot of back and forth going into it. Neb in a very awkward position behind those trash cans will be found by Dante, and there goes Grapes, no more supports, and once again, Fisher's got to find a way to play around and stall with no health bars, or at least no recovering health bars.
I mean, that's 2 picks on the back, though. So, does Maryville even have the staying power anymore? Dante is here. Looks like Tree is still with him, and then Squid is not far behind. So it's going to be another, looks like a broken fight here on this point, Classy.
Squid and Vision coming back into it will just ensure that Dante is not going to die to a Winston and a Tracer unless they like pulse bomb him for some reason, which Rocket could do. But there's the Nano, and still no tick being gained.
Nano from both sides, as a matter of fact, both used on the tanks. But Dante is just going to take a little nap, going to have to sleep it off. Meanwhile, Riker's going to pop the Primal Rage. Lukewarm goes down, but not before getting a Bob out, and seems to be a pretty darn good Bob indeed. His kills are now going in Fisher's favor. Dante down to 26 health, just trying to get out of there. Neb going to find the kill. No, Rocket shows up to do it.
Very well done.
Keep fighting.
1 minute 38 on the clock. I mean, yeah, what are you going to do, Maryville? You're not even getting an ult advantage out of this because they're just trading constantly. And Fisher, I mean, not saying they're running circles around them, because it's kind of Maryville running the circles, but Fisher is just breaking them up and putting them into lines, into squares. No circles for you.
It doesn't even feel like Fisher's necessarily winning the fights, but they're just doing enough damage to make it uncomfortable for Maryville, just like that. Lukewarm popping Tree, the very beginning of this fight, finds first blood here in this engagement. And Riker is going to follow up and continue to let the pain train roll on through town.
1 minute to go. Lukewarm finds another. There goes Squid, and Maryville is pretty much down in dumps. I mean, of course, this was Fisher's map pick, and we did say it's like a little, let's say, unorthodox, but it's one you don't see that often. So it makes sense that Fisher has an idea of how to play this. But Maryville, I would almost say they almost don't have an idea of how to play this. They're not as prepared very clearly. You see the way that they're running around the map, the way they're retreating. And Fisher always is like 3 steps ahead. So if you go for plan A, they're already on plan B, C, and D. And this is another one of those. Dante jumps in, just cannot find anybody because they're on a different spot than where they were before.
I mean, I don't think I've seen Dante Winston since like early season 6 Overwatch League. Like, that's...
I mean, that was 2019 basically is what we're talking about here. Like 2019, 2020 maybe.
Last time I saw Dante Winston, I mean, it's been a while.
We hadn't had a pandemic back then. That's how bad it was. It's too early to joke about it? Well, I guess we find out.
Yeah. Good whip shot from Graves, just completely denies any engagement. Rocket is running ham in the back, completely unbridled, all over your support line. Maryville can get nothing. Fisher will not give them an inch. Bionate used defensively as the 2 supports tried to push out to support Dante, who is still standing on this objective. Nanoboost was invested in that as well, and it's been enough to get Dante up to this primal range. Might be able to lock down Lukewarm, but Riker comes out with a better primal. 2 kills fall to the Ham Hawks of the Winston. Dante goes down. Maryville will get nothing on Hollywood.
Woo. Sometimes it's one of those series where the team that gets to pick the map wins the map. And currently, that is what this series has become. Gonna potentially go back to what they did on Control. Squid is already showing Zenyatta, might stick on that. They could even go for some of these like different picks, like the Mei being very space controlling, all these things. They're probably not going to because they like messing with us. But they are definitely in a position where they're going back to sort of this control and these control sort of skirmishy fights in which they have shown to be very good. And Fisher looked a little bit less comfortable.
Well, I mean, Tree doesn't need a whole lot of chaos zone in front of them before they can find lanes and just start clicking heads. And King and Dante are definitely capable of doing that, with King coming out on the Genji this time around. So that's what I've been looking out for. It's Dante and King to get in here and really mess with Fisher's heads, and then have Tree lay down a bunch of fire from beyond. We'll see if Fisher can take the initiative. As you see, Riker makes the move first, but gets punched off the side after dropping the bubble.
It's going to be a Riker trying to find an opening to just dive in. Rocket, after the slash, has to recall, but it's just a little bit, turning around, jostling for position, finding your way into the fight, and Lukewarm is finding their way out of the fight with the Blade of King.
No telling if King managed to just land a poke from distance or got in close, but either way, it started the snowball, and once the dominoes fell, Fisher comes away, or Maryville comes away with first control.
It is usually what happens, right? Like, as soon as Genji uses their dash, that's when the fight has to take place, unless it's a dash to get out. But it was a dash to get in, so the rest of the team also engages, and they find the value afterwards. Good nade onto Squid there. Particular almost goes down through the follow-up, but not quite. And now it might be a punch back from Dante, but everyone stays alive, everyone stays healthy. And they're going to have to find a different way to get to onto this point.
That was so close. Riker almost landed that alt fire, almost landed
so
the sniper
close.
shot. That was so close. Riker's going in deep now. I'm not sure the rest of the Fisher were there. Okay, it looks like there's a little bit of backup. Riker's just kind of holding their ground for the moment, but not really taking anything away. And now Lukewarm falls as Tree finds all the angles they need. And it's so difficult for Fisher to get in here. 3 hit by the Bionade. Sleep Dead will only be a speed bump here for Dante as they turn the corner and go out to see if they can find any picks. It has to be used defensively from Neb, but Fisher are holding their ground for the moment. We'll see if they can get back on this point. 95 accounting. Nano boost invested here from Neb as Riker moves on to the point, but Graves goes down. Discord Ord onto Riker means they're not going to last long either.
They really are not. Riker, again, just gets in so much trouble. Low hell. There's the overclock on the Nano boost, the Tree. That fight's going to be over. That point's going to be for Maryville. We got to try again as Fisher loses that 100 to 0.
Flashpoint ruins.
Maryville heavily investing in that. Like, that's kind of a statement. I mean, Fisher doesn't have any ults online, and Maryville are able to invest 3 into that fight and feel comfortable doing so. This is a smart squad. They know not to overinvest. That was a statement.
Definitely it was, but you know, you don't need the nano boost for King as well, like on the Dragon Blade.
Oh, for sure.
Because as long as King doesn't get anti-nated or slept by Neb, they can just hack and slash inside of a Transcendence. Like it's fairly easy to, well, fairly easy. It's doable to create that win condition for the Blade.
All you gotta do is just be mindful of those 2 cooldowns. You don't have to kill Neb. Just watch for the anti to be used, or just kill Lukewarm again. Third time in a row, Tree's able to get the better end of this duel before the fight even begins. Now Riker tried to go in, still see if they can bring this thing back. Both DPS, though, just breathing down Riker's neck. Nade used to keep them alive as they continue to try to chase King around. King will fall without getting to use that blade. Riker comes out of the corner with a Primal Rage. Tension set on Division, trying to knock him out of the window. Succeeds! That's 2 falling to Riker, and the point is starting to flip. Barely makes it back onto land there, but a good Bio-Nade will end Dante's life.
Ooh, the Transcendence used very late in the fight as well. Will not be able to even use it for a little bit of stall. Are they going to re-engage with this? They almost could have with their Transcendence ending late, but no, Squid's going to choose to back off, and that is the first point control for Fisher. And of course, his Flashpoint is going to tick up very quickly.
I don't know if Squid was trying to keep Dante alive. It seemed like the Bio-Nade had already landed before the Transcendence was pulled. But either way, Dante was purple. King falls early again. Riker on this Winston. We saw it work oh so well on Hollywood, and King has not had a chance. 2 fights in a row. They won't get to use their blade. Riker content to just hang tight here, though. They're not going to over-pursue exit kills.
If you want to learn a little bit of Ash Micro, watch the way that Lukewarm treats his reloads. It's really good to see.
Dynamite used just to kind of scare Dante away. Nano boost thrown on to Tree, who now has their overclock and has already found Neb into the back. That was the win con needed. Well, that's all you need is just Tree with an overclock. That's a win con in of itself.
It was a
Talk about fun to watch.
It wasn't that a boost overclock. We're getting a little further into it as well. But I mean, we said it before, right? I said it in Hollywood. Like, it doesn't even need the nano boost.
Doesn't even really need it.
But just still give it to him. It was really fun though, because you saw Dante standing with the power block, and then Tree just over the basically put their rifle on Dante's shoulder and did the shot. It's just like that, you know, like I'm your shield. I'll be behind you, but I don't need to be Reinhardt to do it. That was a really good one. But hey, gonna get one more fight here on this particular flashpoint until we go to point 3, and it is very close between these two teams at the moment. No real ultimate to speak of either. Maybe the Transcendence will come in big.
Whoever wins this fight will win this point. Bio-Nade already used, but it's Neb who finds the kill. Huge indeed. This is opened up wide for Fisher. They just need to finish their dinner. Good whip shot there. King is forced to the outside. Does have a pulse bomb. Could make life difficult. With Rocket down, there is an opening and still a possibility. Transcendence used from Maryville, and that's going to be the go sign to move on to this point. This corridor under Riker means all attention should be there, but Lukewarm sticks their nose out for a little too long and once again falls. This point flips, and suddenly Fisher on the back foot. Bio onto 2. Neb won't survive as Dante has returned with a vengeance onto this point, and it looked all lost there for Maryville, but what a strike back. What a counterpunch. Still, speaking of counterpunch, my goodness. They did. They C9'd it. They C9'd it.
Grapes is a little too hungry for that rally kill on Division. Did get it, but they lost the point as a result. That's very unfortunate because you don't only invest the ultimate, you get a little bit more. Very good patience on the Transcendence from Squid to wait for the anti-nade to come through. And they basically used that Transcendence to then aggressively go in and find that one pick they needed. They found Lukewarm. That is not often the way you see Transcendence used. It's very much a defensive utility for most teams. But yeah, it can be used in engage tool in situations like that, especially when Dante was down. They needed to use it for something effectively, and they did.
Big props to Vision for finding that kill. Traditionally known as a DPS player. Certainly very lethal. Speaking of lethality, Dante with a quick pair of kills to start things off here on this next flashpoint.
Yeah, instantly finds the double, and they go get Neb as well in the end, but the fight was already pretty much done. This is a tricky point to come back into. Doesn't have a lot of points of entry, and even the ones it does, there's a fairly long run-up. So there's a lot of damage that Maryville is going to be able to do before Fisher even gets there, and they have pretty much all their ultimates ready to go too. It's a very, very hard one for Fisher to bring back. But they found Tree early, and it's a good win condition.
Oh, something Lukewarm has not been able to do very often here on Saravasa. That pulse landed. Yeah, Grapes is gone. This is actually in Maryville's favor, trading a DPS for support. In fact, both supports are down. 61% on the board, and Fisher either need to get out now or they won't get another chance at this.
That's really tricky, and, you know, the trend becomes true. Even though Flashpoint is not a map type where there is a lot of map choices, it is a map type that's very similar to the map type they had already won, aka Control. But, of course, Fisher still has a shot to come back into this, especially if they could put a nano boost and Bob on the point. But try and find that angle over here. It's going to have to be Rocket that touches. No, it's Riker with the nano boost.
Wrecker looking to chase down Fisher, but gets slept in the back. Nano thrown onto Tree with the overclock and 2 kills already full to the Prodigy. Lukewarm did manage to get the bomb out, but overtime is going down. Rocket won't C9 this time, but unfortunately they're alone on this point. And all Maryville will have to do is find 50 health. There it is. Maryville will take map 3 in the lead in the series.
That C9 was very painful for Fisher on the previous point. If they hadn't gotten that C9, they probably would have taken that point away. And
they won the fight. They pulled that fight back.
The first fights, they can make a lot happen with that and put themselves into a good position to start off with. Let's see if it comes through. Let's see if Fisher can make happen what they want to make happen on the map of Colosseo. And with this roster, it makes a lot of sense why they went to Colosseo and not to New Queen Street.
Yep, all about bringing the Sigma out. Oh, and they're going to do a little flank route. We're not going to get to sit around for 2 minutes here on Colosseo. They're getting right into the thick of it. Wall to prevent the escape. Dante decides to go forward and back out that direction. King scampers to the high ground, and Fisher come out swinging here on Colosseo. Full-blown aggression, and they've hunted Squid down. You wanted him to grab the momentum earlier. That's exactly what Fisher are trying to do here. Vision gets smashed by an accretion rock, and King is going to fall as well.
Yeah, they use speed Rocket onto something, and as soon as Rocket locks onto something, they will not be able to get away. You get the instant slow from the Mei, you get the walls to block the easiest route of escape, and it's just almost a guaranteed kill. Dante's gonna be the hardest one, but everyone else they catch has a hard time getting away, or they'll have to use an ability to get away.
Ooh, Dante going in very early here. That was down to about 25 health before the healing started coming through and the hands went up. They're still pushing in low. Has Rocket on the outside in their sights. Decides to punch in, but takes so much damage trying to get in. Lucky to get over that wall and survive at all. Tree jumps down from the high ground to try to help out, put some pressure here on this right-hand side. Still, Fisher are just letting Maryville kind of poke and prod, hoping they can get this final blow. And Matrix out. There's a lot of punch of power here for Fisher as they try to push into this open territory.
They are getting space. They're getting something to work with this bot. It's constantly being blocked by something. The Nano on the Doomfist. King finds Neb already, and that's going to be a very quick cleanup, it looks like.
Yeah, eventually Maryville are able to punish the 2 players that were kind of hanging on that far right-hand side from Fisher's point of view, using the Nano boost to really pry open the Fisher line.
It's just over before you know it. And that's kind of like the thing that Maryville's really good at, especially on these more like brawly map types, to just like sit around and wait a little bit. And Fisher wasn't making the move to aggress on them. They did it very well in the first fight. They've done it on control a couple of times, but they didn't make the move to go and punish Maryville for just waiting around. So if they can do that more, if they can repeat what they did in that first fight, this might be a very different outcome. But now the ultimates are online for pretty much everybody.
This is going to be a bombastic fight. Opened up with a meteor strike, and Lukewarm's already at half health. Decides to opt out of the punch and just back up as the sound barrier is invested in from Fisher. Gravitic Flux used from them as well to try to counter the blade. Now a Blizzard is thrown in, and the ultimates continue to fly. Still, no one has found a final blow. We're still 5 strong from both sides. Squid is the first to fall. Tree with an overclock in the pocket. Could be the difference maker here, but you got to keep your supports alive. Nobody back here for Vision. 1 health, and Neb comes through with the final blow. Tree eventually does pop their ultimate, but it's from the high ground, and they're not able to get much with it.
Can't believe Mei pulled on the little flank on the floating Zenyatta that never makes a noise. They're already pushing the bot. They want to get this lead back quickly, and they are probably going to get it too. Tree not going to get out, and that's a couple of meters. I don't think anyone will be able to touch. No, they will actually get on the point. The Genji will be able to touch here. That's King coming back in order to stop this bot from reaching the lead. They might still get it. No, there's Doomfist. Oh. It's only a couple of meters away, but it's away enough. But they might have sacrificed a little too much just to keep the bot out of the lead. Now it's going to be in the lead, and you lost your tank.
Yeah, it was a nice little dance with King and Dante. And King is able to at least respond on 1. But with an Matrix on the high ground, I mean, Fisher have a lot of space control here.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're going to push this bot real close to this checkpoint.
I don't know if they're going to be able to get there without their Sojourn, but they're doing damage. Good anti-nade coming through, though.
Yeah, Iron's a bit of trouble. There comes the regenerative burst with the sleep lands.
That's
oh,
huge.
No. Yeah, Neb not able to put out the healing necessary to keep Iron alive, and both end up falling.
That would have been everything. That just Baptiste being alive there could have probably let Iron survive forever because it's Sigma.
Baptiste being awake.
Yeah, well, yeah, sure. You know, what's the difference really at that point, right? But yeah,
Fair,
no, it was coming out hard. They're gonna try and take this lead back. Obviously, they have the ability to potentially do so. There's got to be a lot more ultimates online a little bit quicker. It looks like for Fisher, but there's nothing too far off for Maryville. It's again Neb and Vision sort of syncing together, and then everyone else being on the other side of the pool.
Oh, that looks meaty. All right, it's just a bait. They try to let it in, but Rocket still goes down, despite everybody from Fisher able to get out of the way of that meteor strike.
Oh, Rocket wasn't there. I think Rocket was somewhere else.
Yeah, Rocket had to be somewhere else. I didn't see an ice block.
Yeah.
Woo! Beautiful headshot on the grapes from Tree. And now look at the sightline Tree has in front of him.
Yeah. And Rocket has been playing more like sort of flank attack on the Mei. It wants to be closer in order to apply the slow, to be able to be more accurate with their icicles. They want to stop this from being the checkpoint. They are able to do so at the very least. The lamp's already out from Neb though.
Yeah, Blizzard thrown on the point, countered by the Transcendence King. Might be the difference maker here. The Katana's unsheathed. Ooh, sound barrier from Grape saves them in the nick of time. Dante ends up falling as Rocket works out, this time playing on the front line and just mows down the tank.
It's a really nice way of using the Mei as well. That Blizzard is constantly being used to deny space more than get eliminations. But it is effective because anyone that would get caught inside of Maryville will go down. As I say that, Tree all of a sudden says, you know what, I can do this on my own, and I am going to. Did get the nano boost, but the rest of the team is there to follow up, and they might just get this checkpoint off the back of it. No, Dante has to punch away again. This bot's going to turn back around and find themselves some greener pastures on the other side of the map.
Lukewarm tried to stand toe-to-toe with Tree's overclock, and that did not go well for them.
Nope.
One shot for Lukewarm to fall. Dante manages to get out with very little health, sub 100.
Yeah, but I mean, they do get out. That's the important part, right? Like, yeah, you give it
without using Meteor Strike too.
Yeah, and that's huge. They are again the ultimate charge is looking better on Fisher this time, more decisively so. So they gotta just find a way to use those, especially that Gravitic Flux could be really interesting.
Rocket once again playing on this, like you've been talking about, and it's given King some issues. Had forced to just fall back to the high ground, give up a bit of space here through the arches. Wall up to try to prevent Dante's retreat, but they just seismic slam forward. Ray from said high ground, finds Neb in the back in the meantime. Dante turns, lands a punch onto Iron, finds Rocket kind of separated. Ice block is out. Rocket throws the Blizzard down. Dante uses the Meteor Strike to escape. Still, Vision and King just cleaning up despite the Blizzard in play.
Yeah, I mean, by all accounts, there was the right time and the right place to Blizzard. That was not the issue. There was just too much damage and accuracy coming out. Once again, Dante had used the punch like just before the Blizzard came out too, so he had to use the Meteor Strike to actually be safe. But got leading to an elimination on top of that. They will be able to stop this before he gets the checkpoint. I think it just might have gotten in, unfortunately. They do get a double on the back of it. Fisher is ready to defend this.
Maryville did get the closer spawns. And are still coming up with some picks. They're having a bit of trouble here inside this tiny room. And Tree just, it continues to impress me. Hermetic Flux used from Fisher. Iron, less than half health. Not crazy about it, but it works.
I mean, at some point, if Maryville keep clutching, you gotta clutch back, and that's exactly what Iron did right there. Like I said, they did give up the close spawns, so they're gonna have to try and reset that first and then push through. So it's like you have to win the 2, maybe 3 fights to get there. But at least they're one way through. Forward spawns have been denied now to Maryville.
This ends now.
It's true. At some point, you have to take more risks if you're a Fisher. Lukewarm, then overclock and Iron with an opening kill. Looks like the overclock might have just been a red herring, as it's Iron from that left-hand side, I think, picked up too.
Might have been some follow-up or something, but yeah, it was definitely space creation at the very least. Lots of moving forward again.
Hey, Fisher could get this checkpoint here.
They could. They have to win this fight, though. There's going to be a fight, and there's going to be ultimates. A fair few, maybe all 5 for Maryville.
Portal's online here for Fisher's. Good news for him. Overclock used from Trey, trying to drop it from the backside. Graves throws out that sound barrier, and Fisher Whips are just staying tightly bunched. Dante had the Nano, has to use a Meteor Strike here. And he had the Nano now online. Neb will get chopped down as King dashes through with a katana in hand. Fisher will not get this checkpoint.
And honestly, as much as Neb does go down eventually, so much patience and use that immortality field. It was the jump away, then another jump, and then just backwards, and the regenerative burst. Now finally the immortality field comes out, will still eventually fall, but so much utility had been spent in order to try and get to Neb before they could actually get him. That's like the max value they could get. Like, other than Neb not dying, that was probably as well as it could have been done. Like, that's the caliber that we're talking about here. But it's like, for both teams, pretty much. Like, still being able to get that kill, but also be able to deny it for so long.
Impeccable patience. Well, look at this rotation back from Maryville. Maryville are willing to give up this little bit of space as they build up to their own support ults. The Nana boost they're waiting on, and that's now out to Dante. Bio lands, but Rocket has the cryo freeze and able to escape danger. Neb cannot, and Rocket no longer has cooldowns to defend themselves. Iron super low, will not get their ultimate in time. Maryville stand tall. There will be no comeback, no momentum swing. The Saints win the upper bracket finals and will move on to your Legends Division Grand Finals. Fisher will have to do it from the lower bracket if they're going to do it at all.
Yeah, at least they have another shot at it, right? Like, at least they can come back. We're not talking about,
So true.
oh, you know, down and out instantly. They might have to play against their own school again. The Fishermen are still in, as far as we know. But it's going to be between the Fishermen, the ASU...